What's up, everyone? Give me a moment to get set up here. All right, so we're just gonna go over a quick outlook for Bitcoin, a couple of the major indices, and then we'll just do some charting. Let's go over to Bitcoin here. So we went over this trade in our last live stream. So we talked about if price gets accepted back into value area here, that we were gonna see some sort of decline. So let's go out to the 4-hour here. Get rid of some of these drawings. So this is kind of the low I'm looking at right here. And this is the other low that I'd be looking at. So likely scenarios are, something like this, maybe some consolidation here and a drop down. And if we do end up dropping down, my targets would be towards the bottom of previous week value area. Sorry, now I'm back. So yeah, these are kind of the areas I'll be looking at for in terms of support, but I do think we have one more push up here. So yeah, towards the end of the secondary deviation here is actually a pretty good target. This is third deviation. This is first deviation, second deviation, and this is the third deviation. So if we actually go out here, I want to check out where these bases are. So yeah, we have this first base target in terms of where Bitcoin could see some pullback. So I'd be looking here for a pullback. In terms of a minor pullback now, yeah, these are the kind of levels I look for. If we do end up going towards the end of value area here, that'd also be pretty viable, as we also have a base right here as well. Let me actually change these to black. It's kind of bothering me. So you got your bases right here that none of them really have been tested yet. So I think an ideal scenario would be this into this. But it looks like a lot of the major indices are looking to pull back right now. So that is why I'm more inclined to think that we're gonna come down here, consolidate, test these bases, these lower time frame bases, test this higher time frame base, and then test these bases before we see a larger pullback all the way down to some of these lower areas down here. So what tools do I use as an indicators? In terms of indicators, literally the only one that I really use is VWAP. VWAP, volume, I'll use VRVP. Yeah, just really any volume based indicator. Yeah, I don't really use anything else really. Hey Antonio, what's up? So yeah, Bitcoin, honestly, I think price action is looking really clean on Bitcoin. My chart is not clean though. Let me just clean this up a little bit. All right, there we go. So yeah, this base right here, and this base, I don't think this base will get tested yet. So this is our upthrust in terms of Wyckoff distribution. So we had our sign of weakness. You know, we've been talking about this level for months here, and yeah, we finally hit it. We got our upthrust. We're looking for a little bit of pullback. Our upthrust after, or actually, this is not our complete upthrust. Our complete upthrust will probably be up here, and then we'll see our pullback. And it's possible to see an upthrust after distribution. So if the markets are looking fairly bullish, we can see one more push up. That'll probably be off this base, and then we see a pretty large pullback here. But yeah, be careful just holding your longs here. You know, people are going to take profits. Price is going to, well, it's more than likely going to do some sort of retracement here, and I think it'll be a fairly large retracement. So yeah, I'd be careful for that. There's a CME gap down here as well, and an untested base at around 18K. So I know I've been talking about these levels for a little while as well. What's my take on 28.5? Yep, that's the level of this base. I think that's completely viable for a pullback here. Divergences as in like from like an RSI divergence? Are you talking about like volume divergence? What kind of divergence are you talking about? Depends on where, it depends on the spot price. I know you posted a trade on Phantom. I thought that was a pretty good trade. I'd probably hold that, but yeah, it really depends on what your system is. I don't know what your trading system looks like. Honestly, I don't really use RSI, but divergences on RSI are somewhat reliable. But that divergences would be more of a it'd be more of like a tertiary confluence for me. Like I go price action first, then volume, and then I'll go into like other indicators. But yeah, because you can technically have divergence for a really long time, you know, like you could technically have divergence, you know, like RSI diverging this entire time here, and you're just missing this whole trade, or you're like trading into a loss. It's just not worth it. So price action first, volume second, and then I'll go into other confluences. So yeah, that's just kind of my idea on Bitcoin. Depends on where the markets are heading. We're either going to, these are just the two levels to look out for. So you kind of want to long this level and short this level, whichever one we hit first. Let's go to some of the indexes. Let's check out NASDAQ. So NASDAQ is looking pretty good for a pullback here. NASDAQ gave a lot of good short opportunities we had our sweep. We had our change of character. Gave us 2 opportunities into this trade here. One here. And then another opportunity in right here. And this wick is just confirmation. And when you get wicks like that, you just know price is really bearish. So you had 2 opportunities here. You have a internal sweep of liquidity right here. And then you have your secondary internal change of character, giving you honestly just more options into the short. This gave you like 4 entries in. So yeah, Nasdaq's looking fairly bearish. Yeah, this 4-hour candle closed here too. So you can even look for a short opportunity here on Nasdaq, something like this. We do have the trend line creeping up. Let me bring this up a bit. So Stealthy, your question. 1 second, let me go back to the Bitcoin chart. So your question is 21K first or 35 to 40K first? I'm more inclined to think that we're gonna go to 35 to 40K, 45K first. Oh, it's not loading. Not gonna lie, your channel's underrated, man. It's like finding diamonds, bro. Thanks, bro. So yeah, I do think 35K is more likely first. If we do have a pullback here, I do think 25K, or not 25, 28K is kind of a good area for a pullback. So I don't know if that answers your question, Sylphie. But that 21K area in the fill the CME gap, I do think that's gonna happen during our distribution phase. So I think it's on this chart. So this chart, no. Sorry, 1 second. Let me find the chart. Oh, here it is. No, this is the wrong chart. Oh, here it is. So this is the drawing I drew out. Honestly, it's kind of picture perfect. That's honestly just coincidence. I didn't really have these levels drawn out when I was initially drawing this, but yeah, we're looking pretty good here. I do think we have one more push up here. We are kind of tapping into this daily order block that we made here. So in terms of Wyckoff distribution, yeah, I think we have one more push up. I think our upthrust target hasn't been reached yet, which is around 33K. So yeah, I think we'll see that retracement back into this order block, which we did. And then we're gonna see our full movement of upthrusts. And then if we have another upthrust, then that secondary base that we marked out here around like 35K, I believe. Yeah, 35K. That's the next level I look at. So these 2 levels are the levels I look to short at. We did mention that this order block right here would be another option to short at, but I don't know. It's just really going to depend on how the markets play out, but just kind of mark these levels out on your guys' charts, and then just watch price action. You know, if you guys don't want to set limit orders and you guys kind of just don't want to risk it, wait, what can I? Let's see, let me try to change the color. Wait, where's my color palette? Oh, here it is. So yeah, if you don't want to set limit orders, just watch for, you know, market reversal. Get your sweep and you change your character. A lot of times after these expansive moves, I don't know if you guys saw my price action range video, but I explained this kind of in depth, where when you have expansive moves, you always get ranges and you get buildup of liquidity on both sides. So especially because I think we'll be bearish in these areas, you'll get your sweep down, or sorry, since we'd be bearish in this area, we'll get a sweep like that. So you'll trap longers who think they're trying to buy it cheap, and then when price starts to break out, you trap more longs here, and you'll also trap shorts here as well, thinking that it's breaking down to the downside, and you just get a ton of liquidity build up, and that's how just larger players and larger institutions can move their capital around. Like they need that liquidity. So, you know, our whole idea is kind of trade alongside with them. So yeah, you want to see that liquidity build up, and you'll see it every time, and then you'll get your sweep in both directions, just like that. You can see it here, where you have your preliminary supply. You have this ranging, sweep, 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 right here. And you can see this on just a lot more areas. Build up, sweep, sweep, sweep. Like you need to see that liquidity if you want to see these larger moves. So, you know, definitely don't like FOMO into this. Just watch and wait how the range builds out, and you'll find your entry in. Yeah, patience is key here, so. But yeah, let's get back to some of the indexes. So yeah, Nasdaq's looking good for a pullback here. Yeah, we got an order block here. It's on the 4 hour. That's kind of the level I'd watch. It's on the secondary deviation of the previous week too. So yeah, since a lot of the major indexes are poised for a pullback, I just assume Bitcoin's also poised for a pullback. Price action is looking really weak. It has acceptance into the previous week value area. Those are all short triggers. So yeah, overall it's looking pretty good here. You're probably gonna get another short trigger here. So if you guys want it to take another short, this would be another short trigger. We're getting it right now. Probably off VWAP. Stop above that high. You can take a short like this. Sweep out all these weak lows right here. You have a ton of weak lows. Yeah, this would be a pretty good short. And if a lot of the indexes just end up just dumping, then you can probably write the short down even further. It'd be a pretty good RR trade. So this is on the 8-cap chart. I probably enter around like 30,240. So I check what your exchange is if you guys are going to take this trade. This would be a pretty good trade. Yeah, we have a wipe of liquidity. This is an option here. So I guess I would be careful of that, retesting the value area high. But this looks, for me, honestly, this looks pretty good. I just manage risk and probably take this trade. We had a pretty good trade out here on gold. I don't know if Stealthy, you're still in this trade, or if you took this trade, but we nailed the exact bottom on gold here. This is a fake bear flag. This is likely going to break up to the upside here. Is it possible maybe live stream in the Discord? Yeah, we could definitely do that. I could just on the next stream I could like just get it in the Discord, and maybe we can just do like a recorded live stream on the Discord. We'll figure something out, Stealthy. How do I use VWAP? I use VWAP as support and resistance. I think these support and resistance levels are a lot truer. For example, you know, just say you're playing your odds, okay? Just say on, you know, your entire premise as a trader is, you know, you're just trading the odds, right? And if you make, you know, $2 on a winning trade and lose $1 on a losing trade, and just say you use VWAP here and you take a trade every time it reaches like a third deviation, right? Winning trade, winning trade, winning trade, winning trade, winning trade, losing trade here. You know what I mean? It's just extra confluence. So I just try to put together things that kind of give me more odds, and I take the trade. If I lose it, then I lose it, and you know, I just move on to the next trade. But yeah, I just use VWAP as support and resistance. I like to use the weekly value area, which is the cloud of the first deviation, as acceptance or rejection into a move. So for example here, actually that's kind of a bad example. Okay, here's a good example. So we have acceptance into, actually this is also a bad example. I'm trying to find one where I'd use it with, you know, alongside our strategy here. Oh, actually, this is a good example. So you have our sweep and a change of character here, right? So so in terms of like, just for example, think of targets. Like we enter a trade like here. This would be a trade we enter. You know, as per our strategy, this is a trade we enter. You know, like where do we set targets? You know, my initial target would be at this the sweep of this liquidity, right? But I'll use the value area to squeeze out a little bit more profits, because a lot of times when price action moves through value area, it moves straight through value area. This is another example, another example, another example. This moves to previous week value area. So if you're in this trade, you just write it down until the previous week value area. It gets accepted into value area again, moves straight through, accepted, moves straight through, straight through, straight through. It just, think of it as kind of like a I can't think of a good analogy, but if price action, if you see price just getting accepted within the value area, just kind of, that's kind of your trigger to long or short. Yeah, I think VWAP is literally the only indicator I really use. I don't know if you can like just tell, like on my charts, I have nothing but VWAP. This is just by far, in my opinion, the best indicator. Are there any other charts that you guys want to look at? Gold's kind of forming a head and shoulders here, but I think they'll get rejected. We still have bullish order flow. Yeah, order flow is still bullish, so we're looking pretty good on this trade. If price action comes down and we close below this low, I'd be just taking my profits here. Getting out of this trade. Look for another entry. Settings on standard and DOE time frame. What do you mean by that? So 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. silver bullet. So you're assuming that we'd wipe out this liquidity, right? I'm not familiar with the silver bullet setup, but I'm assuming it's wiping out liquidity from before, during 10 to 11 a.m. If that was your question on like why we didn't wipe out this liquidity still fee, that's because there's really nothing else left to grab up here. We're not going to get buyers up here. There's no liquidity. Liquidity ended right here on this fair value gap. So we had a fair value gap here. This is like looking at price action here on the 1 hour. This is the only thing I would have traded. Liquidity was on 15-minute. Let me check that out. On the 15, are you talking about like this fair value gap right here on the 15? Is it small ass fair value gap? Hold on. I'm not sure. Is this what you're talking about, Stealthy? Oops. I mean, I don't really trade on the 1 minute. I know you can. Honestly, liquidity is really visible on the 1 minute. And if you want to do executions on the 1 minute, you can honestly do executions on like 30 seconds, even like 15-second time frames. Liquidity is really apparent on those time frames, but I don't do that, so it's not part of my, I guess, my training system. Not that far back. Yeah, I'm not sure what liquidity you're talking about, Sylvie. Yeah, when I'm trading on the day or the week, I usually trade on the 1 hour. And if I want to take like, you know, higher precision executions, I go down to the 15 or 5. I don't really go lower than that. So yeah, I have short positions open on NASDAQ and gold, and I have a long position on oil here. But honestly, oil seems to be following the indexes right now, so I'm kind of looking for an exit out of this trade, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll probably just set a break even and hold it. Yeah, it's definitely following the indexes here. What other trade am I in? I'm in a USD Canadian dollar trade. So let me get to that. I can explain this trade. Let me turn off the volume. So this was actually a really, really good trade. We got a precision entry here. So we had a 1 hour order block that I was looking at. The things that gave me a lot, so a lot of the confluence that was in this entry here. So we have this 1 hour order block. On top of that, this was like a previous range that we were just kind of bouncing between. You can see that we have a lot of levels here. So, whoops, that is not what I wanted to do. So level here, you see we just get a ton of bounces here, right? So these are the two levels I'm kind of like looking within. And what you want to do is take the fib from in between that, and then you want to look at the mean threshold, which is the 0.5. And on top of that, we had our weekly value area creeping in here as well. So this was just a really, really high probably entry here. We just had a lot of volume right here. On top of that, I guess it's not on top of that, but like the premise of this trade, the base idea behind the trade is our sweep. So we have bearish order flow. So on a higher time frame, we're bearish, right? Trend is down. So you still want to see so like, you know, when we go over the our liquidation heat map and our, you know, our levels of, oh man, I'm having a brain fart. My God. So we look at our liquidation levels and, oh yeah, our liquidation levels. So we look at our liquidation levels, right? In those Bitcoin videos that I do. We always want to see a sweep of liquidity before we see our move in the other direction. So this is what I mean by that. So what we do is we get a sweep of liquidity here. So we get our sweep of liquidity here, right? And you see what move did the sweeping move? So this is our low, right? You can see that this low is like protected, but the moment it gets broken, that becomes your change of character, and this whole entire area becomes your zone of supply. So pretty much anything in this area is fair game for price to retrace to before we see move down. But you know, you don't want to just enter here and set your stop here. That's it. The RR is like terrible in that trade. So how do you get like a better entry is, you know, the idea, right? You know, you could absolutely just take this trade. You know, enter here on the zone of supply, stop above the zone of supply. That's a valid trade, but the RR is just really bad. So how did I get this pinpoint entry? Is that I knew this was the zone of supply. I checked the kind of the zone that we've been bouncing in, plus this order block. So I believe this was a 4-hour order block. Or is it on the daily? Or was it on the 1 hour? Was that the 1 hour order block? Oh yeah, it is just a 1 hour order block. So we take the 1 hour order block like this, from the bodies of the candle, and you can see that we come straight to the 0.5, which is your mean threshold. On top of that, we do have another 1 hour order block here. So this is just, there are just so many confluences right on this spot, and that's why I entered this trade here. And if I was wrong on this trade, then it's just another trade. But yeah, this is why the RR is super good here. I'm already at 14 RR. I'm looking to hold this a little bit lower. So we have a daily fair value gap here. On top of that, we have another daily order block. So I'm looking to hold this down here. And that would be a 35 RR trade. So let's check that out. So equal highs at 12 o'clock today. Let's see. Oh, like right here? So if we go down to a lower time frame. Are you talking about this? So, oh, you're gonna send it on the Discord chat. Let me check that out. So you said Friday the 23rd, 13:15 was the time. So let's check that out. Friday. So this high right here, 13:15. Are you talking about like the equal highs like this? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. These are the only equal highs I see. Let's see why it didn't take that out. So honestly, that looked really good to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, definitely that would have been a possibility. Come up here and take that out. But price doesn't always do what it's supposed to do. With that said, it's also possible for price to retrace back up, take it out, and then see a real dump. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the only thing that I could think of. The only reason that we aren't seeing like a bullish move up is that we didn't sweep up enough liquidity. But on this move down, this is actually a good enough liquidity sweep where we could see some sort of reversal here. But I do have this order block here lined out. This is probably where I'd take a long. I probably wouldn't go long anywhere here unless we see our change in market structure, but maybe look for a play like this. This base is untouched on NASDAQ. Hey, Stealthy, are you funded? Alrighty, it's actually almost 3 o'clock. So I'm gonna end the stream here. If you guys have any other questions, let me know in the Discord, or you can drop a comment in the video. Thanks guys.